So, looking at what has actually happened to property prices, you will notice that you've got detached, semi-terraced and flats here, and what's gone up in value. But the interesting point is this. Let's go back. It looks like detached houses have done the best, doesn't it? There, quite the opposite. Detached have only gone up by 315% since 1998, while semis have gone up by 376%, and terrace by 387%, and flats 370%. Now that is quite strange. There's one figure in there that is quite strange, and that's the flats figure. When I do this in other parts of the UK, the worst is always the detached, but flats are normally down here. So that those of you that own flats or apartments, do you know the difference between a flat and an apartment? One's over 200 grand and the other one's below. There you go, you know that now. I found that fascinating, but this is particularly interesting in the fact that all over the UK, in the last 30 years, the worst performing type of house has been detached houses. It has never ever been cheaper in real terms to upgrade from a semi to a detached house. It's just that roll the clock back 30 years and your semi might have been probably 30 grand and the detached might be 100 grand. Now the semi is 300,000 pounds and the detached is 800 or 900. So you think it's better, it's a lot more money, but in terms of the actual percentage increase, it's not. So if you are considering moving from a semi to a detached, there has never ever, no it's not buy-to-let land here, but this is owner occupation, there has never ever been a better time to move up market. Interesting. What has happened to property prices in Chelmsford and the surrounding areas since the credit crunch? So the credit crunch started in 2009 and property prices started to rise in around Q1, Q2 2011. And the interesting thing is that Basildon has been the best performing at 76%, and again Chelmsford at 74%, Colchester at 72%, and Uttlesford. And it's really interesting that the villages haven't performed as well as the towns. And some of that is to do with you landlords, because you've got more money and you buy more houses, which keeps the prices up. Whilst in the villages, it's more owner occupation. This particular graph here talks about the number of properties sold in Chelmsford since 1995. So we start here in 1995, and on average around 180 properties a month were selling. And as we were going through 2000, 2002, 2005, they were going up to 300 a month. Then we had the credit crunch, and they dropped in 2007 to around 100 a month. And it's been steadily rising ever since, but not at the same levels that we were achieving in 01, 02, 03 and 04. The number of people moving houses has been a significant factor in relation to the property market and why prices are still as strong as they are, because they shouldn't be as high as they are. And one of the major factors has been the lack of people moving. If there's a lack of people moving, less supply. Demand and supply economics means that prices are kept higher. The average house seller back in the 1980s moved every 8 or 9 years. And at the moment it's every 16 or 17 years. Less people are moving, which people are staying in their houses longer, which means there's less supply in the market, which is keeping the prices higher. Property prices are 6.1% higher than they were a year ago, but interestingly, not many people know this, property prices actually dropped in the back end of quarter of 2017. I thought that was quite an interesting number. Okay, so what type of properties are selling well? I think the best thing there is the blue is detached, sorry, no, start again. The blue is flats, oranges are terraced, yellows are semis, and greens are detached. And you can see that there is, well, make your own conclusion from that one, because I can't come up with a conclusion, but I thought it was an interesting graph to show you what is actually selling. Well, at least I'm honest.